going on, man?
I'm chilling, man. It was a long day.
Yeah, I feel that. I definitely feel that.
Can you believe
Um,
we're hitting summertime already? That's great.
Dude, time is flying a little too fast.
I know.
It's like, I was wearing hoodies and double layers. Well, you're out in California, so you don't even know what I'm talking about. You don't know about cold weather.
I'm from the Midwest, but even out here, I still wear hoodies all
Do
the
you?
time. Yeah.
Uh, but anyways, this is our little YouTube show, Gory Story. This is our buddy Chris out in California. He works for Legacy Effects. I'm Adam. I have no affiliation with any studio or movie making entity, but I'm kind of a cool guy.
Yeah. It's
That-
pretty
that's all I
well-rounded.
got going. That's all I got going for me. Um, but anyway, we were talking and we both saw the new Evil Dead movie recently, and it's been kind of like a hot topic in our group. Um, a lot of differing opinions. So we had the idea of maybe having a little discussion about the entire franchise and um, just about how you know maybe it's the greatest horror of the more mainstream horror franchises. Um, and I thought that was that resonated because I was like, yeah, you know what, they're really, say what you will about 2013 or maybe even Army of Darkness, but there aren't too many weak links in this franchise. I kind of love them all.
I think a lot of people love them all. I think there's one weak link, and that would be Army of Darkness. I don't feel like I've always thought as Army of Darkness is a film outside of, even though it has Ash, and even though it's the natural continuation or progression from Evil Dead 2. I never felt like an Evil Dead movie to me.
Mm.
And then the 2013, I think the 2013 version was fucking great, and then the new one great.
Yeah,
Great.
I really like the 2013 movie, and I felt like I was at the time. I felt like I was kind of in the minority. Um, People like I would show it to friends, and they were never overly impressed with it, and um, I thought it was a really good movie, and I think the newest one is kind of it has almost the exact same vibe. It's very similar vibes. Like if you told me that Evil Dead Rise was a sequel or took place in the same universe as 2013, I could totally go with it.
Was there part of you that thought they were going to connect it at the end? You know
Hmm.
how they doubled back and connected it to the beginning? That was amazing, by the way. That fucking blew my mind. But I thought they were going to connect it to the 2013 version.
I kind of hope that they did.
Yeah.
I was hoping, and oh, here we go. Ryan says just here to make sure there's not too much shit talk about the OG Evil Dead. No, Chris
Oh
won't
no.
talk shit on it, dude. Chris won't talk shit on it. Chris is he waves the flag of the original one.
I do.
There ain't a bad one in the franchise. I tend to agree. Um,
So that gets to the main topic, though. Is it arguably the greatest out of the big horror franchises? And I'm talking the Halloween franchise, Friday the 13th franchise, Jeepers Creepers franchise,
yeah,
um, Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. I don't know if you could put Terrifier in there. 'Cause I know that's more modern, but even still, I mean, it's only two films.
right.
Although the second one's as long as two films itself.
Well, I think what this franchise has going for it, um, that most other franchises don't, is that in some capacity, the guy that created it, the guy that thought it up and put his love, sweat, and tears into it, was attached to it in some way, shape, or form from the first film until the one that we just got. And this is it's always going to be Sam Raimi's baby. And Bruce Campbell, I think, was even a producer on this last one. He might have been in 2013 too. Now that I think of it,
Yeah, they both were in that one and this one.
but like, do they want to make money? Sure, who doesn't? But like, I think that they go out of their way to sign on, some of these up and coming directors that can do something interesting with these movies. And so what are we at now? So we have 5 feature films and a was it 3 seasons or 2 seasons of Ash versus the Evil Dead. Did you see that?
Yes, I was not a fan because it continued the whole vibe of Army of Darkness.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
I still dug it. And I mean, there were more horror elements to it, you know. But anyway, but from a quality standpoint, I think like what other franchises could you even? So I mean, let's just go down the list. I mean, we have Halloween, which as you've stated before, out of all of these franchises, the original movie is probably the best one.
yeah.
Um, and then it just kind of went downhill from there.
I think on average, I think the if you took like a generic poll, I think the majority of picky horror fans would probably pick 3 Halloween films, maybe 4 that they would say are really good. I would pick one, and then if I had to pick a second one, I would pick the direct sequel, Halloween 2.
Yeah.
But and I think you could say the same for the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, the Friday the 13th franchise. I think there's usually 2 to 4 really strong entries. There's absolutely 4 strong entries with Evil Dead, and then I think I'm in the minority on this, but I think you would have a majority put Army of Darkness in there, which would absolutely put it over the top as the best franchise in horror.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's tough to argue. Ron says, I found Ash versus Evil Dead was Army of Darkness done right. I kind of get what he's saying there.
That's interesting. See,
Uh,
it's interesting to me because I didn't really give the show a shot because I just saw a couple of episodes and I was like, ah.
I mean, it definitely has that humor, but like I'd probably put it more in the Evil Dead 2 vein than Army of Darkness, but I mean, it definitely was a horror comedy show. Like comedy was prevalent. That's for sure. Um,
Maybe I'll go back and check that show out.
yeah, it's definitely worth watching, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's Halloween, right? And then I
I
still
think the
think
closest
Halloween.
one. Well, I think the closest one that would give Evil Dead a run for its money is Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. I enjoy part 3, and then I think the first remake is fucking amazing. I think there's an argument to be made that the remake might be the best in the whole fucking franchise. I know that's blasphemy.
The
I
one
know
with
there's people.
Deal.
Oh yeah, I know there's people in the group that be like, "What?" But
Well,
part 1, yes. Listen, I know what part 1 did. I know how good part 2 is. Part 2 is a personal favorite of mine. I would actually pick part 2,
yeah.
but I think you have a big contingency of fans that really, and I'm one of them, man. I think that fucking remake is spectacular.
I do too. I've gone on record saying that is my favorite of the franchise, and I have gotten some shit about that. Which I mean, I get it. The original is just a classic in grindhouse cinema, and like it like horror in general like owes so much to that first movie. Um, but there's just certain things like who's the guy in the wheelchair? Who's the character?
Oh, Franklin.
Yeah, I just can't stand that guy. I can't stand Franklin, and but it's a great movie. And then 2 and 3, like 2 is definitely 2 is like the Gremlins 2 of because it's almost a parody of the first film.
It is a parody, and 2 is has more divisive opinions about it in the group than I originally would have thought.
Yeah.
Maybe two is maybe your opinion with two falls on how old you were when you saw it.
Yeah. That makes
Uh,
sense.
for example, I'm crotchety and old right now, so I have a
Same.
tendency to shy away from comedy and horror. I particularly don't care for comedy and horror now unless it's done really, really, really well. But ironically, my favorite films from the 80s and the 90s were the comedy horror films.
Yeah. Yeah. Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, if you
It's
think about it, there are strong similarities between the progression of Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
you know what the progression was? They were both done at the same time as far as the sequels. It was that whole error.
yeah, but like like just how the first movies were just balls to the wall grindhouse horror,
Yeah.
and then the second movies in both franchises, they were a little bit more polished and they infused the hell out of both of them with comedy.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean that's interesting. And then part 3 is Leatherface. I can't even really remember a whole lot about that one.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what though? Like here's that's like TCM franchise has the Next Generation, that one with Matthew McConaughey,
That was really
and
bad.
dude, that one, that's so bad, that movie.
Really bad.
It's just that one. If you can like if and then I don't know. And then did you see the one on Netflix?
I watched part of it and I didn't particularly like it.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
know.
know.
I think there's more missteps in TCM than there is Evil Dead. But um, the quality of the majority of the movies in that franchise maybe makes it close.
Yeah.
Um,
And it all starts with the foundation and the original Evil Dead. Goddamn, so good. It's so scary. Like even now, like how he pulls it off. Just with the acting's kind of kind of hokey, and you had the claymation ending, but the way the story is written and the isolation. Oh my god, man, it's so well done.
have you seen Student Bodies, Chris?
I have not. I saw Idle Hands, but I haven't seen Student Body.
Student Bodies, it's peak 80s horror comedy. Talking through a rubber chicken has yet to be surpassed. I'm gonna have to watch it now.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. I don't know. Like when you saw this 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 latest Evil Dead movie, um, did you know right away that I don't know, like when I went and saw it, I was pretty convinced I was going to come back and see overwhelming praise about this movie. I enjoyed it that much. I was a little taken aback by some of the negativity I was seeing in like in our group and just kind of like on the internet as a whole.
Is it true hate or is it gatekeeping? I mean, I guess we're all a little guilty of gatekeeping at one point or another. I get it,
Yeah,
but I mean, it gets you right at the beginning. The introduction's incredible, and how the words come out and rise comes up. It's so beautiful, man.
it
It's
is.
so well done. It's like peak horror. It's like just it's violent. It's beautiful to look at. The fonts rise up. She's floating in the fucking air, man. Oh my god, dude. And I
Yeah,
was in. I mean, that intro, and you are fucking in.
yeah,
Almost like the intro for 28 Weeks Later, or the
yep,
intro for the Dawn of the Dead remake. That
yep.
you see that shit go down, and you're like, holy shit, I am
Yeah.
fucking.
Her there's a meme of it's just that girl, that possessed girl floating above the water and with the font Evil Dead Rises, and the meme is just like, that moment or whatever, and it's just like, yeah, I mean, like, that's kind of like when I knew like this one. I think give it time, it's gonna be seen as a minor masterpiece. I really do. Although
Yeah.
I said that about 2013 too, and I, I I still don't think that movie gets the love that it deserves. So I don't know.
Oh, 2013. I had more problems with 2013 than I did with Evil Dead Rise. Um,
Except for
some of
Ryan.
them really, well, some of them are really stupid. So I'm a big fan of what Sam Raimi did with the sound, the how the Evil Dead, how the Deadites sound in the original, and then in part two.
Yeah,
And I didn't really care about Army of Darkness, but in the 2013 version, I feel like aside from when she first gets possessed, when they enter the house and you hear all the different voices, aside from that, almost every one of the Deadites has like a high pitched jokey voice. Like
yeah.
this, the little girl that gets burned in the beginning. That voice, that's Mia's voice as well. It's also some of the other voices. It's that high pitch, hey, 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 jokey. I
Right,
fucking
right.
hated that, man. Oh, I fucking hate it. I fucking hate the fact that they use that goddamn jokey voice on all the fucking Deadites in that movie. It's
Yeah,
frustrating, man. It fucking frustrates the shit out of me. But I digress. They didn't do that with the new one. They went back to what Raimi did. They had like some different sounds, some different fluctuations in there. I like that shit, man. I want more of that. I don't want the same sound in all the Deadites. I want to have different voices and different sounds. So I really enjoyed that return to form with the new one. The one thing that I talked about this already, the 2013 one, and still to this day, it hands down has some of the best gore effects ever put on film. It is fucking those effects in Fede Alvarez 2013 Evil Dead are fucking spectacular.
yeah. Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
for sure.
I hope everybody can appreciate just how well done and how well executed those gags are in that movie.
Yep.
Fucking beautiful to watch.
And I don't know. I just enjoyed the story too. I enjoyed the whole like the analogy with um drug addiction and coming out of that and all that stuff. I mean, I just thought it was a really well made movie.
Me too.
It didn't hit you over the head with some message or anything, but I thought that there was a little bit more to the you know a little bit more to the story, kind of like bubbling under the surface. And yeah, I thought it was really great. Particularly the final act where it's actually raining blood.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, "Oh, this is amazing. Like, this is great." Um,
It was like some sort of blood god deity.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Ryan says about the newest one. My argument is not that I hate it, but I'm disappointed in how it handled the setting that it was given. Disappointment, I guess. Uh,
Well, I mean,
yeah,
being
I thought it was. I like. I was okay with how they handled it. Instead of like the tree rape scene, you have she gets tied up with like the cables in the elevator. I mean, I don't know. There were. I think they did just enough with the scenery to um to make it stand out on its own, and I was entertained by it.
I agree. I thought it was fine. And it's a low budget film as well. So, that's why you only see a couple
Yeah,
rooms inside the apartment and you
yeah, it's
see the
definitely low
hallway.
budget.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
I like the effects in the new one. They're not as good as 2013. But they're serviceable. They're good for the story.
and that actress, Alyssa Sutherland, who plays the mom.
Oh, she looks like what's her name? The other actress, the director, that was married to Jason Sudeikis. What was her name?
From what movie?
She directed that movie with Harry Styles. That director. She's also an actor.
I'm blanking through
Oh,
that.
she was married to Ted Lasso, and they got a
Olivia Wilde.
yeah. She
Okay.
looks a lot like Olivia Wilde. Like it's weird because there's certain scenes I'm like, fuck, man, that's Olivia Wilde, but it's
Yeah. She was fantastic in this, was she
right.
not?
Yeah.
I mean, who do you think are the most iconic Deadites in the series? Because um, she's right up there. Probably nobody from 2013. Probably nobody from Army of Darkness. You have what is it, Henrietta?
Yeah, I think a lot of people say Henrietta.
That was Henrietta. So that was Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
And then what was the name?
What I go with which girl got thrown into the basement in the original?
Let me look. That was. Let's see. Was it Linda? No.
Yeah. Was it Linda?
Was it Betsy Baker's Linda? I don't even know. But
Fucking creepy as hell.
yeah,
With
yeah,
the white eyes.
right.
White eyes always scared the shit out of me as a kid. You put those
Uh,
contacts on somebody, and I was like, that's scary.
yeah. Um,
But I'd say those two probably.
yeah, it's hard to argue that. Like I said, like Army of Darkness, nobody really. I mean, it was Evil Ash, and 2013, I think it was Mia.
Yeah, I mean, you'd probably either say Mia. So who's the better Deadite, Mia or the mom in the new one?
That's actually harder than I thought it would be. And Ryan earlier had said that Jane Levy is so underrated, and she is. She's really good in that movie. Like when she's the Deadite and she's under the, she's in the subfloor or whatever. She's in the basement. Let's see. Let's look at it. That's
I think Mia's makeup is better uh, in 2013. I really, really, I think her makeup's fucking outstanding. But again, I go back to the audio issues I had with how the Deadites sound. I just, as much as I like that movie, her dialogue and the way she sounded kind of bothered me. I didn't think it was well done.
yeah. But like I remember this being all over, the trailers and commercials and posters was just her like looking under, that like she's scary as hell here.
It's incredible.
Yeah, that makeup is crazy.
Yeah. That kicks the shit out of the new makeups in the new movie. I mean, that's how good that makeup is.
It kind of does.
Yeah, they're more minimalistic in the new film.
Yeah.
I think that's a budget issue as well. By the way,
I don't know. What's pretty good though.
well, I like the story more in the new one over the 2013. I like the setting. I like I like the end a little bit more than I like the Blood God in 2013.
Right.
Which Necronomicon do you like the most? They're all kind of different.
And that was a plot point, wasn't it? That I think I think that they actually launched from the um, Army of Darkness idea that there are 3 books, and from what I understand, like the one main book is for Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness. The second book was used for the 2013 version, and the third book was used for Evil Dead Rises, and supposedly they all look different, like they did in that scene in Army of Darkness when Ash is trying to like pick which book to take home.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, but which one do I like the best? Actually, The one in the newest movie is kind of cool as hell.
Which one?
In Evil Dead Rises.
No, but which one? Which Deadite? The
Oh,
mom?
yeah, the mom.
Yeah,
But
I like.
you said the Necronomicon, right? Which is your favorite Necronomicon?
Yeah, I mean, I really really like the one in 2013. I like how it's bound with barbed wire.
Hmm.
I like how you had to break it open with the barbed wire. That
Right.
that one that one's probably my favorite. New one's cool though. I like the whole like mouth teeth aspect of it.
Yeah, and how it like it forces you to like take part in the ceremony, or as
Yeah.
it were. It like it forces you to cut yourself. I thought that was pretty neat.
What do you think about the end? What do you think about the? I, I like it. I don't love it. I think I like it a little bit more than the Blood God from 2013. But the whole like mismatch of bodies, it's kind of similar to what they did in that sequel
The thing.
for Train to Busan. They kind of did this in Peninsula. In Peninsula, there's a pit fight, and there's a fucking horde of zombies that are all fused together, exactly like this thing in Evil Dead. So when I saw it, I was like, man, it doesn't suck, but it's fucking been done before, and it was just done a couple of years ago in
Right.
a real high profile sequel. I thought
Yeah.
a lot of. By the way, I think Peninsula sucks, but that's a whole nother story. But it was just done, and it's very very similar. So I don't know. It was just okay.
What's up, Don? Um, Don Murray's in the house. Um,
Sorry, man.
I when they had all the Deadites like come together like that, I don't. I thought the first thing I thought of was the thing. I don't know why. It was just kind of like this, almost like trying to assimilate everybody. Um, I think it kind of lost some effectiveness once that happened. I don't know why.
I agree.
Um, at that
It's
point, it kind of
my
felt
big,
like the movie was just trying to wrap itself up.
yeah.
That was the easiest way to dispose of all the Deadites if they're just one big thing. Wouldn't it have been more effective if all of those people laying in that hallway would have just gotten up and all went after her individually? You know what I mean?
And then I also would have liked to have seen like a return of the Force, the evil Force. We see the evil Force come back at the end of Evil Dead. We see the evil Force come back at the end of Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
We see the evil Force kind of come back at the end of 2013. I don't think we saw the evil Force come back at the end of this one, did we? Except at the very end when she was down in the basement, I guess.
That's the
It
last
came
time.
back and got it. But when we were upstairs, it comes up and it gets the girl in the elevator.
Right.
Okay. All right.
And then it takes her over, and then when she's put through the spoiler, when she's put through the wood chipper or whatever they got down there, it
Yeah.
releases it and goes into the other girl who ends up taking it to the cabin. So, um, and I kind of dug how they did that too, because it was almost like it was a prequel in a way to Evil Dead, because it kind of showed. Maybe not. I was kind of looking at it like it showed how it got the evil force to the cabin, and how like, but that doesn't follow the story of the um like the original and all that stuff, because there was like an archaeologist that was there and everything. So, um yeah, I guess it's really a completely different entity from, it's a parallel universe or something like that.
We just don't know how the book got there in the new one.
Right. Right. I thought one thing I did think was kind of cool was, instead of having like a recorder, they had like actual records.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was kind of a cool touch.
I
Uh,
really enjoyed that. That was a nice little twist on that.
yeah. Um, yeah, but I don't know. As far as this being like the best franchise in horror, what are some other franchises we can pit up against it? Like, what about like here's one that might give it some contention, depending upon what movies you decide to say are in the franchise. What about like the Romero zombie films? I think those are actually pretty comparable.
Yeah, and I think we've said this. You and I both agree on this. I think it's the greatest horror trilogy of all time.
Yep, yep. I
I
mean, I
think
think it's hard
I
to.
well, he loses his way, with Land of the Dead and on. Um, there's such an incredible downward spiral, in those years with those films. It's almost fucking shocking.
Right.
But I think you can stack Night, Dawn, and Day up with anything, and even Evil Dead films. I think that'd be a hell of a take the three best out of the Evil Dead. Well, most people probably could put Army of Darkness in there. If you put Army of Darkness in there, then I'm definitely taking Romero's trilogy.
Right.
But I don't know, man. I mean, it'd be a great interesting battle.
And like, I mean, would you even include Return of the Living Dead in there?
No, I mean I wouldn't put that with any of Romero's films.
Yeah,
And then I Return of the Living Dead 2 is a fucking god awful sequel. Three's okay, so I think Return of the Living Dead kind of stands by itself in that franchise.
I agree. I just thought it was interesting. Just because, I mean, obviously John Russo's involvement in both franchises and how it's
Sure.
how it's the meta sequel to Night of the Living Dead. But yeah, I agree with you there. You got to go with just the movies that Romero directed.
Did you like Land of the Dead? Did you enjoy that?
One of my biggest cinematic disappointments was that movie. I was so looking forward to that. And
Yeah.
I went and saw it, and it just, I mean, some of the set pieces were cool. Some of the ideas were cool, like just having it in downtown Pittsburgh and blocking all the bridges off. I thought that was awesome. It was just, I don't know. It just it was missing something that the first three movies had. That it was just it was just missing that magic. What did you like it?
No, I hated it. You know what it was missing? It didn't have a cinematic feel or look to it.
Yeah, it was like a TV show.
Yeah.
I agree with.
And I can't remember how he shot it, but it was just so different from the trilogy, and not in a good way.
Right. Yeah,
And then
not at all.
and then what he did with Diary and Survival. I mean, my God, man.
He had such a great cast for that movie, though, too. It
Yeah.
just seemed like everybody was wasted, like Dennis Hopper, John Leguizamo,
Yeah.
you know.
Who's the
But
English guy? The
yeah,
main.
I can't remember that guy's name, but I know who you're talking about. He's pretty good too.
Yeah.
And even Asia isn't Asia Argento in this one for some
Yeah.
reason. It's like, what is
She
she
was really
doing?
big for. Remember she was in that and Triple X and
Oh yeah, yeah. She was like big for a minute.
yeah.
Then she started dating Anthony Bourdain, and it all went downhill. Uh, but yeah,
So
so
everybody's Evil Dead film probably everybody's favorite would probably be Evil Dead 2, right?
I would no.
Really?
I think I put it. I did a poll in the group, and I think Evil Dead won overwhelmingly.
Oh, nice.
The original Evil Dead, I think it won
Okay.
overwhelmingly.
Okay.
Um, which actually I was surprised by, to be honest with you. I mean, I knew that the original Evil Dead had its fans. I just, for whatever reason, just assumed that a lot of fans felt the way that I did. That like when I want to watch an Evil Dead movie, I want to see Ash Williams be Ash Williams, and have that little bit of how do you even characterize his performance? He's just kind of like a buffoon, in a way,
Yeah.
but it's he does it so well that it's cool. Um, in the first Evil Dead, he plays it. I mean, he's still a little quirky, but it's a pretty straight performance, you know. And I would argue that most people, when they think of Evil Dead and they think of Ash, they think of a character that's a little bit more silly, and so I don't know. I was kind of surprised by the results of that poll, but
Yeah. I would have thought Evil Dead 2.
turns out that like a lot of people are in agreement with you guys. So like they want these Evil Dead movies to be more horror oriented and not so much the comedy. Even though I never thought that the comedy took away from it, but I guess the horror purists just want it to be. I mean, that first movie, like you said, is terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, if you have writing that good, you can overcome anything, including the claymation fight at the end.
Right, right.
Even as a kid, that ending happens, and I'm like, "What the fuck is going on here? What am I? What is this real?"
So, do you think there's any way they could have salvaged Army of Darkness in your eyes?
um, man, I mean that's in Sam Raimi's blood, that comedy. I mean he's had it going all the way back to Crime Wave,
It
Uh,
it was almost more of like a Sinbad movie or something like that than it was, Evil Dead.
yeah, but that Three Stooges comedy in that movie, and he's talked about it in interviews, him and Bruce Campbell. But you can, if you go back and watch Crime Wave, I think it came on '83 or '84.
Yeah,
It's a comedy, and it's exactly like that. It's that Army of Darkness, Three Stooges type humor.
right.
And I didn't like it, man. I wanted more of a balance, I wanted that balance that Evil Dead 2 struck. I would prefer Evil Dead 1 and just straight horror,
Right.
but Evil Dead 2 strikes a really healthy balance.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Um, do you wish that they had included more horror in 2013 or Evil Dead? Not more horror, I'm sorry, more comedy in
Oh,
2013 or Evil Dead Rises?
no, no,
I'll say this. I I didn't want more comedy per se, but I'll put this word in quotation marks. What about more fun? Like they are pretty bleak movies,
yeah,
both of them. You
I
know,
I
and
love.
I don't think a single joke was told in 20. I mean, I guess there's some banter between characters, but I don't know. Like I mean, they really upped the stakes with like the like the horrifying nature of the movies. Um, I mean, I'm glad they don't try to like reinvent an Ash Williams or try to like turn somebody into Ash Williams because that would just be like utter failure. Like you can't do it. Um, but sometimes I do wish I don't know, like they had a little bit more fun with these movies. It's kind of hard though when like the last one is essentially about the mom being possessed and trying to kill her kids. That's about as bleak as it gets,
And line of the year, man. Mommy's with the maggots now.
dude.
Good. I wanted to stand up and start cheering. I was like, what a well said line, man. I mean, there's just moments in it, where you're just like, "Ooh, man, that's fucking good."
Yeah, yeah, for
Really
sure.
good. When the daughter, she starts bleeding out of her face, you're like, "Wow, man, you knew it was coming."
How
I
did
mean,
they do that? By the way, was that CGI? Because it
yeah,
was seamless if it was.
Yeah, it was CGI.
It wasn't like a tube up her nose or something?
I don't think so. Um, I mean, they might have ran a prosthetic on her nose, but I didn't see anything.
Yeah. Yeah, just good movie. Good
The,
movie.
the Easter eggs are really good too, with some of the dialogue. Dead by Dawn, and the eyeball getting.
Yeah, I
There
really
was
enjoyed that.
Easter eggs. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I saw some criticism about that, and it's just like,
What?
yeah, I'm just like, well, I mean, at the end of the day, it is an Evil Dead movie. Like, what do you guys want? Like, they're like, oh, you're biting from you're biting from movies, and you can't think of your own ideas, and it's just like,
Paying homage to it.
right. A certain level, as far as I'm concerned, a certain level of fan service is expected. You know, especially for us old ass heads that are still going to see these movies. I mean, I thought that was great. I thought that was really well done. That
Oh
that
my god.
that scene.
Me too.
That yeah,
Or
but
we're dead by Dawn. It's like fuck yeah, man.
yeah, it was great. It was
Line.
absolutely fantastic. Yeah,
My son, by the way, I took my 8-year-old. He fucking loved it.
did he? That's great. He wasn't
Oh
too scared.
no, he loved it, man.
He didn't get weirded out about like the mommy shit.
No, no, my other son, my younger son, he would have. Like I took them both to see Smile, and
Mm,
there's some, those disturbing like suicide scenes in that movie really fucked them up.
yeah,
I don't think there was anything that extreme. Maybe I know
right,
there was murder and body mutilation, but I don't know, man. There's something about some of those things that happen in Smile that just go right to the edge of very very uncomfortable, being uncomfortable.
right. So, how do you see this? I mean, I think they're already in talks to like making more movies.
Well, Sam's coming back, right, with Bruce. They both said they're going to do another Evil Dead.
I mean, in producing roles, or
He's going to direct, and Bruce is going to come back as Ash.
I mean, that would be. See, I think that would be really clever to bring Ash back, but have him still be Ash, but in a much scarier like environment. Like I couldn't help but even in Evil Dead Rises when they were coming after them, and they were in the basement, and they kept on like circling around the car, and like like the garage door was like locked shut. Even though I knew he wasn't in this movie, I just couldn't help myself. I kept expecting that like the garage door to open, the headlights of that famous Sam Raimi car that's in all of his movies, and Ash to be standing there and like to help her out. And even though I knew that like that was never going to happen, um, I don't know. You just always expect Ash to be there in some capacity. I think that was actually Bruce Campbell on one of the records, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. That was his cameo.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
I'd like to see what the evil force looks like a little bit more. We kind of see it in
Evil Dead 2.
yeah, Dead by Dawn. We see when they say join us. It's a really
Right.
real badass scene.
Right.
Um, but I'd like to see maybe in one of these upcoming ones another shot at what this entity, whatever this thing is, what it looks like.
Yeah. They could definitely do a lot more with that. Um, because those, what are they, dolly shots? What would you call
Yeah,
those? Yeah, I mean those are the more iconic shots in the whole franchise.
and now
Um,
shit, you could put that on a drone
mhm.
and use
That's
it.
why that scene in Evil Dead Rises was so great,
Yeah,
because they faked you out initially, and it was just a drone. And then and then when the evil entity finally shows itself at the end, and I thought that was a cool twist.
fucking loved it, man.
Yeah, good movie. So, let's see. Evil Dead.
In
What?
order.
Yeah.
In,
What's your rankings of the movies?
I'll go original Evil Dead. Then I will go Evil Dead 2. Then I'll go Evil Dead Rise. Then I'll go Evil Dead 2013. And then I'll go Army of Darkness. And then I'll go Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Ryan, who was on earlier, said 2013 is his second favorite. That's interesting.
Wow.
That's interesting. I mean, it is a good movie. I mean, I can't. Um, I would probably go Evil Dead 2 is still my fave. Um, I don't think you're gonna like my rankings. Evil Dead 2, Evil Dead 2 is my fave.
You're going Army of Darkness, aren't you?
No, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Evil Dead 2. I'm gonna go Evil Dead Rises. I really liked it. I liked it enough for it to be my second fave.
That's awesome.
Then I'm gonna go Army of Darkness. Then I'm gonna go Evil Dead OG. Then I'm gonna go 2013. Then I'm gonna go, I guess, the television show. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not. Am I missing anything? Yeah.
No,
I
there
mean,
was a
but like they're all. I mean, if they're on my television set, I'm gonna watch them. There
yeah.
isn't like one that I'm gonna skip through if it just suddenly pops up for me, like there are for a lot of other franchises. Like I won't ever watch Friday the 13th. What's the one? New Blood? Is it New Blood where it's
Part
not even
7.
Jason?
Oh no, that's part 5. Yeah.
Yeah, part five. I'll never watch that.
Terrible.
I'll never watch Halloween like Resurrection or um
820.
H2O. H2O is so bad. And you know what? I remember leaving the theater when I first saw it. I was such a naive idiot thinking, "Oh, that was a good movie."
I think I did the same thing.
Oh, that was good. But it was just we were just 90s morons.
Yeah, because we had been to the top of the mountain and it was good, and then the '90s come, and then we have to accept what's in front of us, and what was in front of us was an inferior product compared to the '70s and the '80s.
I mean, sometimes it takes a while for some of these movies to marinate, you
Yeah,
know. Like me and you not to completely derail the conversation, but me and you always talk about, we talk about Star Wars from time to time and The Last Jedi and our feelings about that. And I'll remember like I left the theater wanting to like it. And it was only like 2 or 3 days had gone by when I realized, man, that movie was terrible. you
yeah,
know, like sometimes it takes days for a movie to kind of like marinate and you kind of dissect it in your head. And I don't know, being a fan is hard. you know,
yeah. Because you defend something passionately, and all of a sudden, you're like, "Fuck, man! I sound and act like a gatekeeper."
right, right, yeah, for sure.
And I don't know.
Um,
I mean, is that derogatory? I guess maybe it could be. It depends on. I guess it depends on the argument and what your perspective is. Maybe I don't know.
right.
Am I
Yeah,
guilty of gatekeeping? Yeah. I mean, I think it's a noble cause.
yeah, it definitely can be. It definitely can be. But I don't know. Like, where do you see this franchise going in the future? Like, how many more movies do you think they can go?
I definitely think they're going to keep going. I think there's going to be several more films coming. I mean, the past two have been really successful. So
How much longer do you think Bruce Campbell can go? If
they'll
they
keep
if they
producing them until Sam comes back and says, "Hey, let's gear up. Get in the
right.
gym, lose that gut. You're coming back as Ash."
That's what I can't remember if I was watching a documentary or a YouTube clip or something, but Bruce Campbell says every once in a while he'll get a text from Sam and it's like, yeah, get in the gym. lard ass. And he's like, oh, and he'll be like, oh, okay, I guess we're making a movie. I think that's just great that they're like childhood friends and stuff, you know?
Yeah, I've never worked on anything that Bruce I think worked on, but I met him at a '92 Fango convention in Chicago.
How was that?
It was awesome, man. It was so cool. Like Army of Darkness was just coming out. Um, so he was there to kind of promote that and talk about Evil Dead. And I can't remember if Briscoe County had started yet or not. Maybe that hadn't
Oh
started.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, good
Did
show
you
by the way.
did you see the part? Did you ever see the clip where he's getting heckled by this fan, and he basically just stands up and says, "Go fuck yourself." Did you
No.
ever see that?
Uh-uh.
I think we're gonna watch that. Hold on one second.
What the fuck does the fan say to him?
He's just like, "Your movie sucks," and he's just like, What the fuck are you here for?" Let's go.
The Marauder. We held the elevator so you know where Lee's headed. Try and get the schedule. What's that?
This movie fucking sucks.
What?
He's storming out. He's storming like he's 7 years.
I said,
He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. Everybody's gone.
I think someone got possessed. I think that's what happened. Yeah. What are you doing here? Get the fuck out of here.
That was Bruce that said that.
That's funny. Why would you go there just to heckle him?
Yeah, dude. I don't. The full story never came out about that.
Huh.
He had to
Well,
have been drunk or
I
something.
mean, if I found out that Ryan Johnson was doing a Q&A, I don't know. I mean, I might find myself in the audience accidentally, raising my hand to ask a question.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I might
How
have
does it feel to destroy an entire franchise
Yeah.
with one fucking movie?
I might have a few tomatoes in my coat. Throw at the guy. That's for sure.
I think they're gonna keep making Evil Dead movies, and I'm good with it, man. I think I think Sam and Bruce, obviously financially, they're seeing dividends on these, so they're good investments. And you're seeing up and coming directors do really well with these entries and go off to do bigger and better things. Fede is doing the new Alien. So
Yeah, dude. I can't wait to talk to you about that one of these days. By the way,
man, yeah, dude, that's gonna be
gotta
fun.
wait a minute, but
Yeah,
that'll be a good one.
that's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm good with it, man. I want to see more Evil Dead movies.
Yeah, I mean,
If you make another Evil Dead film that's as good as the past two, you're talking about the newer versions of the films, arguably being better than the original trilogy. I think there's a shot, depending on how good the next film is.
so you're saying 2013, Evil Dead Rise, and whatever they make next?
Well, we talked about this earlier too, off camera. They're better made films.
Yeah.
Nostalgic wise, no. They don't hold that place in my heart that Evil Dead 1 and Evil Dead 2 do. So
Right.
because of that barrier that just will not go down, because nostalgia is a very powerful thing. Because of that, I'll always have those first two. But let's be fucking real, man. 2013 is an extremely well-made film.
Yep.
Evil Dead Rise, extremely well-made fucking film. I mean, they're just better made. They're less amateurish. They're better written. The acting is better. They're more
Right.
modern.
So, like, I don't understand some of the criticism that, especially Evil Dead Rises has received lately. Like, these movies have always been low budget films. That's
Yeah.
kind of what they pride themselves on. So it's just like, some of the criticisms that I've been reading about this movie, it's kind of just like, what did you expect? What did you want? Like, what did you want to see if not this? You know, it's always been minimalist horror. It's always just been, you know, there's a formula. It's they're possession films, and they always generally take place in kind of like a close space. Um, there's always like a claustrophobic kind of feel to them with being like trapped in with the possessed person or what have you. Like there's a formula to these that work, and I'm just like I don't know what anyone expected unless they were just expecting I don't know another Army of Darkness, but that doesn't really make any sense.
No, it's weird. And there's so much and so many places you can go. Like, for example, dude, like you know how the last Predator movie they take it back to the late 1800s, right?
Yeah,
It's the Navajo Indians or whatever.
right.
Dude, you could go back in time with the Necronomicon. You could go into the fucking future with the Necronomicon. You could do so many different things with that book and just drop that fucking book in so many different settings throughout history and just let the chaos fucking reign.
That would be fucking awesome. Like, what about the Necronomicon? You know how they're doing what is it? Last Voyage of the Demeter, which looks
Oh
awesome.
yeah,
Which looks
yeah.
fucking awesome. You could do something like that. Just throw the book on a boat in the middle of the ocean, and like you're just stuck at sea. Like, how cool would that be?
I
Like,
fuck it,
just
man.
like to your point, there's like a million different ways. You could tell this story, and it would be different each time.
Like, what if you had the fucking evil entity come up out of the fucking water? Like when the Necronomicon gets spoken, we've seen it come out of the ground. So they're out in the fucking ocean. We see it come up out of the water, man. It's a whole new way that we would see it, man. I think it'd be really fucking neat.
Yeah, yeah, that would be super cool. So, um, yeah. Well, I don't know, man. Do we have anything more we want to say about these movies?
Nah, man, but I'm still feeling frisky. Let's talk about some shit.
All right, let's go. Um, well, we were starting off comparing these movies with some other movies, so I guess we could go down that route a little bit. Um, I don't know what other franchises. What about Scream? Would you put? We should do like a hierarchy of the franchises. That's probably what we should do.
Yeah, you know, it's. I mean, I think it's sad, but there would definitely be people that would put the Scream franchise in there.
Yeah, probably.
But you know what's even sadder? And I love Scream One. I don't give a shit about any of the other ones, but I'm not gonna lie, I haven't seen any past Part Three.
Yeah.
But man, you could there'd be some people coming in there going, "Hey, man, there's more. There's more films in the Scream franchise that are good than there are in the Halloween franchise."
And I couldn't argue. Like they're not my cup of tea. I always call them the Nickelback of horror. Just that kind of like generic. Like okay, but like there are none of those movies that are truly bad. Like and our good friend Trevon says he was like they made 7 Scream movies and they never messed up the mask. Like the mask was always the same. Why couldn't they have done that for Halloween?
Yeah.
And it's
Wow.
like a good point.
I mean, we start to see the downward spiral of the sequels in Halloween 2, and it's the best out of all the sequels. But there's many scenes in Halloween 2 where it's a different mask already. You know, they had already fucked up. They already started having different versions of the mask in the sequel that came out a couple years later. So yeah, I really, really wish that they would have been able to keep that mask kind of going.
Like the mask, I don't understand what was so hard about replicating that. But you know, the best version of that mask. I'm talking about Michael Myers now. Is the one that actually has facial contours to it. It's not just like a flat surface. You know what I mean? Like there's actual like cheekbones, and they try to make it look like there's a face going on there.
And they've done resculpts. Every one of those movies had a resculpt. And they tried. They just you look back on them, it's like fuck, man. Except for part 4, and that's the one they used the down post mask. But
what were they doing showing Michael Myers' eyes? Like, didn't they do that in like
a
it
couple
looks
of them.
It looks ridiculous.
Yeah, it's weird, man.
Like even in Halloween 2, you see his eyes a little bit, but like it's just it's you have to like really really be looking to see them. It's not just and then in some of those newer movies, like the ones made in the 90s, like it's almost like it's cut out, and you see his entire eye, and it just looks so silly. And it's just like, how do these
2018 had the second best mask, and how I feel about that new trilogy is I wouldn't wipe my ass with it, but that mask in the 2018 is fucking great.
Yeah, you can't say anything about the mask.
No,
everything else fails, but the mask is okay.
But that franchise, man, that's probably, if we're talking about disappointment, that franchise probably leads the way for me. Because there's never been any expectation with Friday the 13th. There's never been any expectation with the Hellraiser film for me. There's never been any expectation with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know why. Not even Evil Dead. I've had expectation with Romero's zombie films, and I've had expectation with Halloween. And the disappointment from both, man, is just like, wow.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of these movies, like, they're just tent poles of horror, and like the 78 Halloween is a tent pole of horror. And that's why, you always kind of like, I look at it differently than Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, even though, you could probably say that the original Nightmare on Elm Street can be thrown in there. But I'll be honest, I was just never a huge Nightmare on Elm Street fan for whatever reason.
As a franchise, yeah. But Nightmare 1 is fucking spectacular. I think. I have Nightmare 1 on just like a butt hair below Halloween. I think Nightmare 1 is I think Nightmare 1 is that good. Nightmare 1 is scary.
It's very scary. Yep.
When Tina's body bag is getting dragged around the high school hallway, holy shit, man.
Yeah. And it never got back to that after this first movie. It was never that creepy ever again.
I know, man. The promise that movie gave us, just like the original Halloween.
Yeah. Well, with Nightmare on Elm Street, there's just so many different ways they could have taken that. It just, the problem with the Halloween movies is that the story is very simple. And, maybe to the detriment of the franchise, like they had him going after Laurie, and that's all the movies ever be, that was always what the focal point of the movies were, and they could never like get beyond that. But I don't know, like even with the newer ones, there's no reason that there was no reason that they needed to like retcon Halloween 2 out of existence. Number one, Halloween 2 is one of the better ones in the entire franchise.
Yeah, I mean, even with its issues, I think Halloween 2 is the best sequel out of the franchise.
And and all of what she was doing and how she was preparing for his eventual return makes much more sense to me if Halloween 2 is still part of the story, if that's still part of canon.
But then, Adam, how do you do it? Loomis shoots him blind. I just don't. How do you come back from that? And they blow up. So he blinds them, and then they blow up. And if you're retconning,
the same way they retcon part. I mean, they somehow did it in 4. So
yeah.
No, I mean, and Paul always makes that argument as well, and I mean, and it's true. He's blind and caught on fire. I would just say, I mean, if you're going for realism, there's no way that he can come back from that.
Great fucking scene, by the way. All the hallway stuff with Michael Myers and the murders that happened in the hospital. That's my favorite part of the movie. I think that is just fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
I love it. But again, man,
it's the most different one too, because it's a completely different environment. It's not just him hiding behind hedges and vacant houses. You know what I mean? Like he's doing it's different. I like it.
I swear to God, I gotta find out who I can talk to, because ever since I was a little kid and nobody's ever answered me, why is there 7 shots fired in the beginning of Halloween 2 when we know that there's only 6 fired at the end of Halloween? Why?
Did he shoot once and miss?
No, he shoots him 6 times only in the original. And in the beginning of part 2, we hear 7 shots. So is it just a fuck up, or are they trying to? Is it them wanting to change that part? I mean, that would be weird, right? Like, why would they want to change it from 6 to 7?
Yeah,
it
what
doesn't
would
make
the difference be? What would the difference be? Yeah, I don't know.
It had to have been a fuck up in continuity.
Yeah.
It's a continuity fuck up, which is crazy because there's people that are paid to be on set, and their job is to make sure that the continuity is fucking good.
They probably didn't know then how the 6 shots, because it wasn't it. All right, so Halloween 2, was that made a year or 2 years after Halloween?
2 years.
2 years.
Maybe it came out in 78, right? So Halloween 2 came out in 81, I think. Right? Did Halloween 2 come out in 81?
Came out in 81.
Yeah.
All right, so I was going to argue that like maybe they didn't realize how iconic the 6 shots. I shot him 6 times, was. But
yeah,
that doesn't really hold water. I mean, it had already been out there for 3 years.
that canon.
And they had to have known that by then. But they also got rid of the breathing, you said, right? I mean, it's not just that. They got rid of Michael Myers' breathing.
Man, it is criminal what they did to the original vision that John had with that character. Because it's just, I mean, God, we've talked about this so many times, and it's so fucking true. And I feel like sometimes I'm on an island with shit like this, but I go to examples like this. If you were watching Star Wars the very first time, and you hear Vader's breathing, and then you watch sequels, and every time Vader's on, he doesn't have that same sound. Wouldn't it bother you?
Yes.
Wouldn't you be like, well, that's weird. Why is it like that? And, with them establishing him, but then we never see that or hear that ever again. The same, and it's not something that in a voice, but the same is kind of like it's for Jason Voorhees. Imagine not having that after having that in the original Friday the 13th. They could have went away from that because that was Mrs. Voorhees' theme music, man. That wasn't Jason Voorhees' theme music. They decided to keep it because it was fucking badass.
And and the fans expected it.
Yeah. So how the fuck are you gonna go away from that breathing in Halloween 2? It's there a little bit, but man, it is nothing like the original, man. And then we don't hear.
I mean, at least it's there a little bit, because
it is.
In other movies, it's gone completely.
It's gone. It's gone in 4. It's gone in 5. It's gone in 6. There's a little bit in Zombies version, and then it's a little bit there in 2018, and damn near gone in Kills and Ends. It's barely fucking there. But here's the thing that every one of those sequels always got fucking wrong. Yeah. John put John put the breathing in the forefront of the mix. So we hear the breathing and the heathen noises that Michael Myers makes when he kills people. We hear those things as loud as the soundtrack, as the score of the film. That
Yeah.
it is that fucking loud. It is that in the forefront of the movie, of the mix. And they never ever do that again in any of the sequels.
Yep.
What's the one thing that made Michael Myers so terrifying in the original? It was just fucking breathing, right? It was so loud, man. It was so fucking loud that when you watch that movie in a theater, it's like, fuck, man. Like, I'm hearing that breathing, like it could be anywhere. It could be
Yeah.
next to me. It could be behind me.
Right.
That breathing was so significant to how scary the original Halloween is.
And if honestly, if you've ever put one of those masks on, you make that sound. Like
Yeah.
it's hard to breathe in those masks. It's fucking hard. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just really weird how little they paid attention to detail with Michael Myers after the first movie. It's almost like it didn't matter, but like it absolutely did. But that
Yeah.
that goes. I mean, that goes back to look.
Freddy Krueger.
Well, you know how we said in the beginning, like Evil Dead has always been loved and adored and nurtured by Sam Raimi, even when he was just a producer and he was from afar. You could still tell he was keeping tabs on things, in my estimation. And maybe I only think that because of how well the movies came out. Um, Carpenter wasn't really that voice after the second film.
Right.
John Carpenter.
He produced part 3, and
I mean, he's still getting checks.
Yeah.
But I think it's creatively, he just kind of was like, send me my money, do whatever you want with it. I think he was done, and he didn't step in to like make sure that like his creation was honored. Really, I mean, it's the truth. He didn't. Like he just let them do whatever they wanted, like whatever mask they had, and whatever silly story, runes put around Michael Myers' feet and he can't move. Like he never stepped in and like tried to like correct everyone. He was just like, whatever, do what you want.
The fucking turncoat doctor that fucking acts so outrageously over the top in every scene he's in, that when that shit finally happens and he kills the cop and you realize that he's fucking breaking Michael Myers free,
Right.
man, I'm sitting in my chair just fucking flabbergasted at how fucking stupid that plot point was.
That movie was good until that point. In my mind. Like I would just say I was on board.
It was okay, yeah.
And then that happened. And
I
I was
thought
just like,
it was okay.
yeah.
And and then there was just so many missed opportunities, and then the jokey cop scene sucked before they get 86. I hated that, man. It's like, this does not belong in this movie. I know you're setting them up to die, but the setup sucks. The setup sucks. It doesn't belong here, man.
Yeah, for sure.
But he put it in there because he's a comedy director. He directed Pineapple Express. People die in Pineapple Express, man. There's some heavy shit that happens in Pineapple Express, but it's a fucking comedy, and a very like well-liked comedy. I'm whatever with it, but
I mean, I like Danny McBride in certain things too. Like, what was that show on it? Eastbound and Down. Like, he's fucking hilarious. And like, I think part of the thing was when he was originally signed on to do these movies, I was kind of excited because it, just like a breath of fresh air. And then like you're like, all right, this guy has nothing involvement in horror. He must be like, I kept thinking to myself, he must have a really sick idea, like for them to be like, yeah, you get to make the next Halloween movie, or really had like a great sales pitch. Like, I know I haven't done anything horror related, but like I'm the greatest I'm the number one Halloween fan, and this is and blah blah blah. So I don't know. For whatever reason, I was expecting so much from that movie, and I got so little.
Well,
In return,
I disagreed with very very much so. I disagreed with the portrayal of Jamie Lee Curtis. To act like her acting like Sarah Connor. You know, um,
yes.
I didn't like it, man. I didn't like the way Laurie was portrayed. It took taking that fear away from her, and even though it came back in moments, in all three of them, by the way, there was moments where it was like, oh, you're not, this is all a show. You're still scared a little bit, but man, I would have liked to have seen more of that, and I would have liked to see more fear. You know, being more fearful of Michael Myers, especially at the end. In Kills with the whole fucking Evil Dies Tonight shit. It was just like, fuck, man.
I
I
mean,
know they all die. But there's that fear is gone. Like they see him and they're like, let's fucking kill him. I didn't like that, man.
what they did is like it's gonna go down in history is like what not to do with a trilogy. Like what they did is like unspeakable. It's like I can't even like they came out with these weird, ridiculous ideas for what was supposed to be not just the last movie in your little trilogy, but of the entire franchise.
Yeah.
Like if you want to experiment, do that with I don't know. It just
How did
it,
they explain him getting his supernatural power? Because obviously, after he gets stabbed and shot and fucked up, and he's still rising to kill them all.
it's the
What was
mask. The mask.
was it? Okay.
I mean, they don't ever say why, but it was the mask.
Huh.
Yeah.
I almost like fucking Sam Hain Druid shit more than that.
Yeah.
I like Sam Hain Druid shit in 2, 4, and fucking 5 and 6 more than I like that bullshit in Kills and Ends.
Right.
Fucking trash, man.
Really.
God. Just thinking, we got Exorcist coming.
What do you think of the original Exorcist? Are you a fan of that?
I am. I respect that movie tremendously. Obviously I don't think it's as scary as it was when I was a kid. I think if you're a religious person,
See,
that movie's way scarier than when you finally realize that there's no God, and then you're like, oh, this movie's okay.
yeah, but here's what I'll say about that though. I think we all start out as religious people because we're forced to be. Because we're
Yeah,
forced to be.
that propaganda runs deep, yo.
Yeah, right. So even when you're an adult, that shit's still in your brain.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not gonna I'm 99.9% sure that it's it's just us. But there's always that point that will always doubt because of my childhood and all that other shit, right?
Yeah.
So a movie like The Exorcist is still scary to me. And even beyond that, you know, horror being scary is so subjective, but like most of the time you have to suspend disbelief. Like Freddy Krueger is scary. Nobody actually believes that there's a clawed man who's disfigured with a fedora that's going to come get them, but it's
Right.
still scary, you know. But like still even if you like don't believe anything, if you had to like put it in a scale, which one is more likely to happen? It's probably The Exorcist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, if these movies were getting made by other filmmakers, I might actually be excited. I like the original movie. You know, I probably watch it once a year. You know, it's not like on heavy rotation. Um, but I think I enjoy it.
It's a really well made film.
Exorcist 3 too. At this point I've probably seen Exorcist 3 more than I've seen the original.
Is the director's cut out there to watch without the Exorcist at the end
Of 3 or 1?
of 3?
I'm
Because the
not sure.
director's cut doesn't. I think the director's cut doesn't have the exorcism at the end. The
Which I
studio
think,
made.
yeah, because I think that was the original intention of the filmmaker. And
Yeah.
then they came in and said, your movie isn't exorcism enough or exorcist enough.
Right.
And they had to tack on an exorcism when at the end when it didn't really make any sense for a cop to perform an exorcism.
Great shit in that though. Like when he opens up his eyes and he's got the original contacts from the original Exorcist, and he goes, "This time you'll lose." Fucking cool, man.
You know, and I'll say this. I'll say that like the title of this talk was that I put was Evil Dead, possible king of the franchises. Those two franchises are on opposite ends of the spectrum for me, because you have Exorcist, which is a classic, but you have Exorcist 2, which is just, when's the last time you tried to watch that?
Worst sequel of all time to a horror movie?
Might be 3, which is quality, but then you had like Dominion, and then they tried to like
The way
re-release it.
2 versions. Yeah.
Yeah, and neither
Both
one of them were any good.
What about the TV show?
I didn't see that,
Yeah, I didn't see it either.
but it had its fans, from what I understand.
And it's a real resurgence in that genre too, which is very strange. It's I think it's more of a one-trick pony than zombie film, but zombie films are my favorite out of the subgenres. But I don't know, man. I don't see much to them.
Do you agree that The Walking Dead destroyed the zombie genre?
Wow, that's a great question, Adam. Yeah.
I mean, let me preface it with this, okay?
Okay.
Me and Paul, well, we don't anymore because life and kids and stuff. But we used to go to a lot of horror conventions, and like, a hardcore horror fan when you meet one.
Oh yeah.
There's so much stuff you can talk about. Like, you don't even have to worry about breaking the ice. It's already broken.
Yep.
You literally have hundreds of things you can talk about with each other. When The Walking Dead burst on the scene, suddenly there were all these other people coming to these horror conventions that could only talk about one thing, and that was Walking Dead. Like they were like, what do I want to call them? Like suburban horror fans, right? And
You
they're kind of like
gatekeeper.
they were kind of like the lantern fly. Do you ever see the lantern moth? You ever see like the signs like destroy on site the lantern moth?
No.
It's infesting the. Well, we get a lot of those in PA. Anyway, it's just like I don't know, not to sound too much like a gatekeeper, although I probably am sounding like that. But it's just like a bunch of like fake fans, phony fans. And it's just like you know, when The Walking Dead first premiered, I was like, "Oh my god, a zombie show on network television
Yep.
with like actual zombie effects?" I was like, "This is freaking amazing." But it didn't take long for it to just turn into like a commercialized soap opera. Which is what which is, what it was. I stopped watching it after like season 3 or season 4.
I stopped at 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But I will say this, man. There were moments where they almost promised you like greatness, and that there was a couple episodes in the first season, especially the first episode, obviously. But goddamn, man, that season finale in season 2 was so. The assault on Herschel's farm. It's so fucking good, man. it has the feel of Romero, man, in that episode. And there's like serious shit that goes down in that. Multiple people die and fucking die brutal, man. Like Herschel's son gets attacked at the RV in the stairwell, and just his scream. My God, man. I don't know how long it's been since you've seen that episode, but I fucking tell everybody, man. I'm like, man, you want to see a really, really great zombie episode out of that whole franchise? Watch season finale of season 2.
Well, I mean, that's the thing that's most sad about it, though, is like they had moments of like genius and moments of, real like poignancy and stuff like that. Like the casts in the first few seasons were so much better.
Yeah.
Like the guy that played Herschel, for example. And then like every
My wife
season.
watched the show.
What's that? Your wife?
She hates horror. I
Well-
forced her to watch horror with me. She fucking. It wasn't anything. It was like, hey, we watching Walking Dead. Yep. Okay, let's get dinner ready.
I mean, at some point along the way, they decided that the only characters that mattered were Rick, what's the old lady's name that turned into a badass?
Oh, Carol,
and
And-
Daryl.
Daryl, yeah.
And like it didn't matter about anybody else. So you just knew going in everybody else was expendable. So
And they got those movies coming out. They were going to be like a theatrical thing, and now they're going straight to AMC. Those the continuation of Rick's story, I guess.
yeah. Because he
I
got lifted out by a helicopter or some shit. Like I don't know, man. Like what a disappointment. Like I'll be on like that first season with Rick waking up in the hospital.
Yeah.
And they have the those doors that are chained shut and it just says dead inside. Like iconic shit. But like a show like that, like the problem is they stretch it out and they stretch it out and they stretch it out until it loses all relevancy.
Well, and then they expand a diluted product. Like when Fear the Walking Dead started, I'm like, oh man, they're gonna show the beginning of the zombie outbreak in Los Angeles, California, man, my home fucking stomping ground. And dude, you couldn't have fucking screwed that up more than they screwed that up. They spent the whole first season amping that up and, teasing what was coming. And then we got like the last final episode, and it was just like, what? Instead of seeing like thousands of zombies, you just see like sporadic little moments, man. I was just so disappointed.
Yeah.
Fucking
I'm just
shame.
reminded when they came out the first year. I was just so excited about that series, and it just like
That was 20. Was that 2010?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
13 years ago. 13 years ago. And the other thing is like they made the zombies less and less of a threat.
Yeah.
It was about other humans that were more evil or whatever. And like I get the point, but they kept recycling that trope over and over and over again. But I think the best season was when they were in the prison.
Oh yeah, when his wife died, Lori, right? Yeah.
That would be my hot take. I think that's the best. I think that's the best.
She wasn't supposed to die. They killed her off because she was a pain in the ass on set.
Oh, his wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a cast though! Like that, the dude that played Shane, that went on to be the Punisher.
Yeah.
Like holy shit.
Yeah. I like the little smile he gives because it's plausible because he just died. So there's a little bit of humanity left in him because you've seen that in other zombies. Like after they turn right away, you'll see a quick glimpse of their previous fucking self. And that's what we see with Shane after he dies. When we see him as a zombie, he sees Rick and he smiles.
Yeah. I want to
That's
YouTube that.
awesome.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. I forgot all. Dude, I'll be honest with you. I forgot all about how awesome that this show used to be.
Yeah.
The Walking Dead used to be an awesome show. It's not
And what about
anymore.
and and Shane impregnated Lori, so the baby was Shane's and not Rick's.
Right.
That's some fucking great shit, man.
But doesn't the baby now look like Rick or something?
Oh, I
Like
don't know.
the
Did they change that in the story? Did it
he's
end up
like
back?
he's no, I don't know. He's like a character on the show now.
No.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I can stomach talking about Walking Dead anymore. So so what else do we have on the pipeline? How about the Alien franchise?
Yeah, man. I think that's a great franchise because you know why? Because I'm a fan of 3 and I detest part 4. But I think 1, 2, and 3 as a trilogy are fucking great. But I know I get a lot of grief, man, because of what they do to Newt and 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 Michael Bean, in the beginning of part 3. But I like it, man. I like the dark fucking aspect of them killing everybody and then her being stranded and not knowing what the fuck to do and then realizing that she's impregnated. I think it's fucking scary, man. I love it.
I think that 3 is a good movie. I'm gonna go and say this. I think 3 is a good movie, but as a diehard fan of Aliens,
Yeah, I know. What the fuck, right?
like there's nothing else. Like there's no other way. There's no other way.
I
'Cause
get it. I know.
it just what all of that sacrifice, all of that courage,
Yeah,
everything that she went through, all of those relationships that she formed, gone,
yeah.
gone. And I guess okay, maybe you're trying to teach me about life or something. I don't need that shit. Look, I don't need that shit. I already know about life. I know how life is fucking a black abyss of hopelessness. Okay, I don't need that in a fucking movie. I already got it.
It's
Like
a Debbie Downer for sure.
it's a Debbie Downer. Yeah, dude. It's a Debbie Downer. It's just like, and honestly, another thing about that movie, I don't like. I don't know. It's definitely more horror than Aliens. I'll give it that. I like that.
It's the goriest out of all the alien
The
films.
prison planet thing, I wasn't really feeling. I didn't like that our new heroes were like pedophiles and rapists. I didn't like that. Like every guy you saw, you didn't know what he was in there for,
Right.
but they all were like creepy. You know what I mean?
Charles Dutton says it. He goes, "We're all murderers and rapists."
Yeah. And it's like, oh, cool. I'm so glad I'm rooting for you now instead of Hicks or Newt or Newt. You know what I mean? I'm so glad you're my new heroes. All right. I'm gonna say something that's gonna blow your top.
Oh man, you're gonna say you like Alien?
I don't
Alien.
mind it. I don't mind it. I don't
God
mind it.
damn it, Adam.
I don't mind it. I thought it was a clever way to bring her back, and it kind of made sense if she had like an alien queen in her. Like from a story standpoint,
Oh wait, you're talking about Alien 4?
I'm talking about Resurrection.
Oh, okay.
What do you think I was talking about?
I thought you were talking about Alien Covenant.
No, I hate that movie.
Yeah.
No, and look, and I'm not gonna like die on this hill either about Resurrection.
Resurrection.
Like, there were some things that worked for me.
Yeah.
I liked bringing her back. It was very interesting that they decided to go with her like being kind of like symbiotic with the alien. They didn't ever do anything with that.
I didn't like the way
But
she acted. I didn't like the whole weirdness to her acting in that role. It was obviously a departure from the normal way Ripley would act.
right,
Kind of threw me off a little bit, and I was never able to really recover my like or my
my
character.
life. I was never able to recover my life after that.
It was all downhill, man.
I got hired by Legacy, but it was a fucking accident.
Yeah. I didn't like it, man. It was weird. It just didn't work for me. Her acting like
No.
that, alien.
No, you're 100% correct. Yeah, you're right. Um, good cast though, with like Winona Ryder as the
Great cat.
yeah, and like
Who's the who's,
the baby, the flesh. Yeah, there's just a lot of missteps with that one.
yeah.
A lot of missteps.
The sound that fucking thing made though was horrifying.
Yeah, and I just didn't like how it disrespected because they always have to bring. It's the biggest, So it like killed the alien queen.
Right.
Like, shut up. Like the alien queen is the fucking apex. Just because you have human DNA, suddenly you can kill an alien queen. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
That should make your creature weaker, not more powerful, right?
I think so.
Oh,
Boy, after the new one comes out, I can't wait to talk to you about this shit again.
me too.
Yeah. That's the stuff I want to talk to you about. Well, I'm really excited to see if it works. I don't know, man. It might not. I think it's definitely gonna be better than Alien Covenant. It's hard to not be. You know what really sucks too about Covenant and then even Prometheus? Prometheus originally, before Damien Lindelof came in and rewrote the whole motherfucking thing, that was a direct sequel to Alien. Prometheus was a direct sequel to Alien. And Lindelof came in and he just fucked it up.
Dude, is he the worst? Is he the worst thing to happen to Hollywood since like?
Yeah. He came in and changed. He built this whole mythology around the engineers, and we never got the payoff that we were promised.
So Lindenhoff did that? That wasn't Ridley Scott?
No, Lindelof did it, but Ridley Scott liked it. Ridley Scott went with that and threw away the original screenplay. So yeah. He fucked that whole franchise up. And then Ridley Scott doubles down on stupid and builds a whole story around the homicidal maniac David the robot, and we get Alien Covenant. And the fucked up thing about Covenant, man, is just Ridley Scott.
David created the aliens.
Yeah.
So they're not aliens. You have to be from an actual planet with an actual like evolution to be an alien. It should be called the experiments. The experiment, not alien. An alien doesn't, he destroyed the mythology of his own series.
Like, well, the aliens aren't face huggers anymore. They hatch out as little mini aliens that dance. Little mini aliens dancing. The fuck am I watching, man? You need to take that "sir" off of fucking Ridley Scott's name, dude, because he fucking defaced his legacy, man. Just like Lucas defaced his legacy. I mean, it's on that fucking level, man. It's like, what the fuck did you do? Yeah. Like, you destroyed what you created, you fucking idiot, man.
The poster behind you is The Thing.
Yeah.
Which is arguably the greatest horror movie ever made. Arguably.
Yep. Great argument.
One movie. Well, there's the prequel, but I honestly don't even fucking count that. Do you?
I don't, man, but the prequel came up in the group, man, and there was a lot of people like chiming in, like professing their love for it, and I'm like, wow, man. Again, I just go back to like, well, if I really love something, like if I truly love John Carpenter's The Thing, which I do, then there needs to be benchmarks made as far as like connective tissue, because this is a prequel to what we already know to be established. So there needs to be certain things that happen in order for me to in my head go, okay, I can line this up and this adds up and this connects and it makes sense. That doesn't happen in the prequel for The Thing. Like, we know that the Norwegians blow the fucking spaceship out of the ice. They don't fucking fall down a hole in the ice and find the ship and then go into the fucking ship. That never fucking happened. They blew the fucking ship out of the ice. We saw it. We see it in John's version. Correct
Right.
me if I'm wrong, but he just used. Isn't that footage from the original movie?
As far as
I
I
think.
know.
Yeah, that's the original movie that John used uh, as that video of the Norwegians in the movie. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and so we know that happened, but yet it doesn't happen in the prequel. It's like, well,
Right.
how the fuck am I? I'm out. I'm out because you just went away from something that I already know happened, and you're
Right.
changing the fucking story. Why? Why are you changing the story? What? It doesn't make sense. There's no reason to do it. They should have blown the fucking thing out of the ice. And then another thing, we know that the thing doesn't want to be seen. We know that the thing strikes in the dark. We know that it's terrified of being out in the open. Yet, what does the fucking thing do in the prequel? It walks around and stalks everybody room to room
Yep.
like a motherfucking homicidal maniac in a slasher movie, man. The fuck am I watching?
He
That's
never did. Yeah. They
the
never
thing.
did that once. Well, because like he didn't the thing, as strong as it was, didn't have like it was still like it could be hurt, it could be injured. So it had to be, it wasn't the giant Blair monster from the very beginning. It took, they took they didn't understand the first movie. They didn't get it.
Yeah.
Um the alien was supposed to be scared. That's why it was hiding, you know. Like it took over people when it was opportunistic, but it wasn't fucking like going room to room like fucking Jason Voorhees.
Ah, it's fucking embarrassing.
It
It's
is.
embarrassing. The way they wrote that the way they wrote the thing and how it acts it's embarrassing and shameful. And honestly, I think it's fucking disrespectful to John's film. It's almost like the breathing with Michael Myers. They went away from what John established. And just like the thing, they went away from what John established the thing to be. And there was just no reason to. And they had the acting chops. I really enjoyed the Norwegian subtitles. I love shit like that. Mel Gibson does that in his films. I love that. I wish we had more of that in movies. There were things about it that I was really on board with, man. But yet they just changed the fundamental dynamics of how the thing interacts with humans. And I was out.
No, I agree. I mean, honestly, it was the Norwegian camp. There shouldn't have been an American there to begin with.
I agree. It should have been all fucking subtitles. That would have been great. It would have felt like a
Isn't,
forced.
isn't there something to be said too? Like for the first movie, that it was an all male cast. Like there was just something about that, you know. Like I don't know.
It's
It
a
was
great cast.
Yeah, it really is, and it just made of like character actors for the most part, except for Kurt Russell, of course. But okay, so that was the thing. We talked about Alien. What's one more franchise we can bring up that would be a good comparison? Um, Maybe something off the charts. Let's see.
I don't think you can do Creepshow because Creepshow 3 is fucking god awful. But
Yeah,
then
I
they
was
got
gonna say anthology movies.
Jeepers Creepers. I know I said that earlier. I really enjoy 1 and 2. I don't think 3 is very good. And I heard 4 is
All
unwatched.
right, let's talk about these movies. Because it's hard to get civil discourse about them.
Well, because if you think about the director and how much of a piece of shit that guy is in real life, then
Yes, yes.
it really skews
And like,
your.
look, obviously, no one endorses that, and I mean, I would hope nobody endorses that. And
Course.
and I'm a big fan of the first two films, and I clearly did not endorse that.
Yeah, we're fathers. Of course not. You
But
know, I
like,
mean,
there's this
but-
whole can you separate art from the artist?
yeah,
I'm able to do that
I can.
because look, he didn't make these movies alone. There were hundreds of people. You yourself can attest to how many people it takes to make a movie.
Takes a village. I mean, no
You
shit.
know, it's not just one guy. And to discredit an entire film because of one guy discredits every single person that worked on it,
Yeah.
not just him.
And say what
And
you want about him as a human being, the way he wrote and directed Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2, fucking outstanding, man.
I think Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2 are fantastic movies.
I think the cinematography in Jeepers Creepers 2 is fucking
Dude,
phenomenal.
you're the only other person than me that I've ever heard say that.
Oh.
I think two's better than one.
I do, yeah.
And
It doesn't have the shock that one has when he kills Justin Long.
right.
I didn't see that.
Or the shock when like you finally realize what he is, like when they run over him and the wings pop out.
Oh, right, yeah.
But it has the better ending
Yeah.
with the old man with his shotgun and he's chained to the barn door and he's just waiting. Like, for my money, it's the better movie. It has the better cinematography with some of the like the farmland, like the beginning scene.
So beautiful.
Dude, it's beautiful. There's like golden rays. You know, I don't know how else to describe it. Like
Him
the
flying.
golden rays of California autumn. It's
Oh,
like, it's
beautiful.
like gorgeous.
The flying in the air at night with the moon, you know.
Yeah.
Just fucking,
And I thought it was awesome how he invented the fucking harpoon gun thing.
Yeah.
And like, you know, like somebody finally did something to hurt this thing. Like it was really almost like a stand up and cheer moment. Like somebody actually finally figured out a way to hurt the fucking creeper, you know? I don't know.
3 though, man.
Dude, I tried to watch it. I couldn't get I got into like 30 minutes of it, I think.
Really bad.
It's really bad, and I was really looking forward to it. And the thing that sucks about it, and because I think it's this movie, end credits, like they bring back the sister Trish,
Hmm.
and like that's a natural progression of the story, bringing her back, but not like that. And then they didn't do anything with it.
And then 4 just came out, or did 4 come out?
Jeepers Creepers in Newborn or something. I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's not very good.
Is it the same director, the same guy?
No, he's completely out. Victor
wow.
Silva is not making them anymore.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow, they took his
So-
own franchise from him, huh?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know if he's still a producer
Hmm.
or what. I would imagine people would still complain if he was a producer. Here, let me see. Jeepers Creepers. Now I'm curious. Creepers Reborn. It's called Reborn. It just came out. I'm pretty sure he has nothing to do with it, but let's see. Produced by. Yeah, he's done. He's not in it at all.
Wow.
Yep. He had nothing to do with it. It's the first one.
That's a shame. They should have got like a competent writer director to come aboard so that franchise didn't flounder.
I mean, it's kind of like our last. I think it's. I mean, Jeepers Creepers might be like our last iconic monster.
I think so. You know, some people, and I would absolutely disagree with this. Some people would say the genie from the Wishmaster. I don't
I
think
don't
that.
think he's iconic at all.
I don't think so. But some people would.
I
I'm
know
sure.
exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Um, and I know there's like probably 4 or 5 movies in that franchise now.
Yeah. Some people might say Art the Clown after Terrifier 2.
Do you like those movies?
No. I think they're fast food horror. I think they satisfy your hunger and then it's empty calories, man.
Yeah.
Because after it's all said and done, you kind of feel like,
Great
fuck,
effect. Can you just imagine if there was any kind of story centered around them?
yeah,
It's a reel. It's an effects reel.
yeah,
That's all it is.
it's trash. Like I said, fast food. Why did I eat that? Why did I watch that? Like what? There's really no rhyme or reason to it. It just doesn't really make any sense. And now he's supernatural. It's like what? Well, he was supernatural in the first one.
Well, I didn't see part 2.
Well, you kind of get the gist at the end of part 1. You know, he
Yeah.
fucked up like Michael Myers, and he just keeps coming. It's like, okay, so this is more than just like a badass human being. There's some supernatural aspects to this. Hey, before we go, I wanted to ask you: did you read the Fright Night sequel, the graphic novel that Tom Holland wrote?
Fright Night Origins? No.
It's called. Okay.
Did you?
No, but I'm thinking about it. I know. Holland is actually trying to make that into a movie.
I mean, that would be fantastic. It's just like I don't know how do you even do it now? Like because he's bringing back all of the cast. Like Evil Ed is still a part of it, from what I understand,
That okay.
and so is you know Jerry Dandridge, and it's just like it's just too late. Everyone's too old. I mean, and they're not going to do the Indiana Jones de-aging makeup for Fright Night. Like,
No, they don't have the
like
money.
they're never going to do that. You know what I mean?
What if they did though? What if they could get the money to de-age them, man? What if CGI got a little bit better and you put a fucking CGI Peter Vincent in there? Now I'm dreaming.
Well, let me ask you this. This is interesting. Like the original Fright Night. Like I think originally there was supposed to be a part 2, and centered around Evil Ed.
Oh, I don't know. I never understood
Like
why
you,
Tom Holland
do you
didn't come back.
remember at the end of Fright Night? Like it's the end, and like Brewster's looking out the window, and you see the eyes glow.
Oh, yeah.
And then you hear like Evil Ed laugh.
Yep. You're so cool, Brewster. Yep.
But it never made sense to me because Jared Dandridge was dead, and
It was always a weird tease. It didn't really add up,
well, what's
right?
his name? His girlfriend, who was a vampire, turned into a human.
Right.
So even if Evil Ed was alive, you would assume he was a human too.
Unless he killed somebody and we didn't see it.
Oh, so it's like a Lost Boys thing, like
Yeah,
where
I think that's modern vampire mythology, right? As long as you don't kill somebody, if the master dies,
I had never heard that until Lost Boys,
okay,
but that doesn't mean it's not true.
right.
Which one? If you had to put all your dice or all your chips on the one, which kind of guy are you? Fright Night or Lost Boys?
Man,
That's tough, right?
it's so tough. It's
I love them both, but I haven't answered.
really, you do have an answer.
I do. For me, I do. It's not. It doesn't. It's not necessarily the right answer, but it's mine.
This answer could change tomorrow, and then change again and on Friday. But fuck, man, there's something about Lost Boys, dude.
Yep.
There's just something about that movie.
There is. Yep. And
It just supersedes all other vampire movies.
it doesn't have near the effects that Fright Night does either.
Yeah.
But it's just so fucking good.
Well, what was the tagline? Sleep all day, party all night. You know,
Sleep all day, party all night.
it's good to be a vampire.
It's good to be a vampire, something like that. Yeah.
Fucking
I mean, it reveled in how cool it reveled in how cool being a vampire would be.
yeah.
And
And that movie is like a snapshot in time.
it is, but there's still like people, dude. People like I'm pretty convinced that people don't understand things. Like the Lost Boys are the coolest vampires ever. Yes.
And it's not
Do they
Twilight.
look like poison? Yes, they do. But you got to understand, they look like poison for a reason. They look
Yeah.
like poison because at the time, poison was the cool, the big hair bands, 80s, blah, blah. That was what was going on. Like these vampires could change their fucking look depending upon what was like the coolest fucking thing. And like, look, they look fucking awesome even today. I don't know,
Love
man. Lost Boys get shit on all the time.
But by who? Like,
People say that like Twilight isn't much different, and there are a bunch of pretty boys, and I'm just like, you don't understand, like you just don't get it. Like,
that's what people look like at that time, especially in California where that movie takes place.
I mean, people are attractive when they're in their 20s. We all fall apart later on, but in our 20s, we're all pretty good looking.
That's why you got to find your spouse in your 20s.
Yeah, you got to, or you're fucked like me. Anyway, but yeah, it's wanted to get your input there. Let's see what else. Let's do. All right, another. We should just do a show. Ask Chris questions and just weigh it between one and two things. That'd be great.
Well, there's always the near dark Lost Boys debate.
What's your take there? Let's do that.
I mean, I'll take Lost Boys 10 out of 10 times over Near Dark. And that's not a diss on Near Dark. I love Near Dark. I think Captain Bigelow fucking home run with that movie.
I mean, I love Near Dark too. I got super annoyed though because a lot of people want to ask questions. A lot of people in our group want to do a compare and contrast between Lost Boys and Fright Night, which I think is a fair thing. I mean, I think those are arguably two of the best horror movies of all time. Not horror movies, I'm sorry, vampire movies. But like some contrarian will almost always come in with, well, what about Near Dark? That's the one you should really be talking about. It's just like, no, dude, shut up. Like, Near Dark is a great movie. Don't get me wrong, but you're allowed to talk about Fright Night and Lost Boys without interjecting Near Dark.
It's really interesting too, just how different Lost Boys and Near Dark really are. Near Dark is almost like a Western in a way. And Lost Boys has a little bit more of that like California flamboyance. That modern look, the modern sound. Even them taking some of the old songs, like some of the Doors songs, and having like modern bands at the time redo those songs for that soundtrack. Just had more of a modern feel. I think Near Dark was a more simplistic, but again, not that hurts the film. I think it actually it's what makes the film so enduring, and I love it, man. I think it's great.
I do too.
I don't like the end. I don't like the whole blood transfusion to bring her back.
No,
she's already killed people.
That's the weakest part of the movie for me.
Yeah, I think that was kind of a cop out at the end.
That's such a cop out because that's such an easy thing to do is go have a blood transfusion.
Yeah,
like everybody, it was such a fucking cop out, and The other thing I didn't like about that movie is just how like I like the movie. Don't get me wrong, but I have nitpicks. The They're these 100-year-old vampires. How many times in the course of that movie do they run into the issue of they're in the sun without any cover?
Right.
Like you've been alive for 100 years, you haven't figured this out yet. Like it's just a little, I don't know, just little things like that. I
Hey, man, maybe they're old and senile, like an old person.
Yeah, yeah, you never know. I
Whoops.
mean, I wish Catherine Bigelow would have made more horror movies, though. That's for sure.
I'd like to come back and make a horror movie. The
Yeah.
clout she has now, she could make something
And
special.
I love that, like half the cast of that was in Aliens. I just love that.
Yeah, they went right from Aliens to that.
That's so cool. You know, and nobody ever made a half-assed sequel to Near Dark either.
No, that was just it was one trick pony.
Yeah,
Lost Boys should have stayed that way.
agreed. Unless they were going to do something real with it, agreed.
I think they're going to reboot it actually someday. I don't know when, but I have a feeling that's coming. You know, they were talking about. Actually, that's right. Do you remember they were talking about doing a reboot, and they released that picture
Yeah,
of these actors?
and they look like preteens.
Oh my god!
They look like babies.
There was such a backlash that they shit canned the whole fucking
Yeah,
thing.
I don't think it ever came out. I think they're done.
Yeah, they didn't go into production.
Thank
I think
God.
they all fizzled. Yeah. Hey,
It's not-
real quick before we go. Do you know anything about Salem's Lot coming? Like the new Salem's Lot coming out?
I saw somebody post in the group about it, but I have no idea.
I thought
No, I do know one thing. William Sadler, do you know who he is?
yeah,
Is playing Barlow.
but they better get him on like 10-inch fucking clogs, man, because that dude's like 5'6".
Yeah, but you know how that goes.
I don't know, man.
They'll make him look big. They'll make him look big.
I don't know, 5'6". That's pretty short, dude.
Is he really 5'6"?
Yeah, he really is. He's like 5'6". Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'll have to tell my friend Nicole that, who's obsessed with him.
Do you remember my William Sadler story when I was at Todd Masters' Halloween party back in
No,
'98?
please tell me.
Oh man, I don't know, dude. He was smashed, dude. He was like fucking hammered.
Do you need to
And-
tell me off camera, or are we good?
I mean, just it's no big deal. He came up to me and like started talking to me, and I don't know if him and his wife are swingers, but his wife was behind him. He's like, "Hey, that's my wife. You should go dance with her." And I look over and she's like smiling at me, and I'm like, "Ah, Bill." Bill, I really love you, Die Hard too, man. But I think
Yeah, but not that much. I don't want to do naked yoga with you there, pal.
And then like for the next like 45 minutes, they'd be like right next to me, and they'd look over and just be like, cheesing and grinning. I'm like, I don't know, Bill.
That's hilarious.
Oh,
That's awesome.
one of
All
many
right, man.
house
Well,
stories.
this was an awesome conversation.
Yeah, man.
We should do I don't know, we'll think about the next one. Next, maybe do the sequels and remakes one. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd love to do sequels and remakes, and let's get into the 90s.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, good idea. Good idea.
Yeah. Let's do with the 90s what we did with the 80s.
No, I agree. But all right, man. Always nice talking to you. And
Hey, bro.
we'll do this again soon.
Sounds good, Adam. Be well, man.
All right, bye.